Suddenly, Brexit is not get out of jail free card anymore.
In December this year, 2026, the European Union Artificial Intelligence Act comes into being. Now, it's fair to say that that's going to bring a legal sledgehammer to the way any UK automotive business is selling into the EU. It's not just a piece of Brussels red tape. It's an extraterritorial regulation that mandates radical transparency for every AI-generated image, video, or credit score you use. I think that's fair in saying. Martijn, you lead a digital car factory that generates 1 billion images a month, which is pretty incredible. You have been a vocal critic of the misconception that Brexit protects UK retailers from these rules. Let's not get into Brexit. You have warned that an AI-generated label on a car listing is a trust killer that could tank conversions overnight. Now, before we go into everything else, at the moment, the industry, is it ready for the day when hiding your AI usage becomes a criminal offence?
I don't think they're ready. And I completely understand that if you're a company in the UK, everything that happens in the EU might sound quite far away. We are living post-Brexit. But if you're listing your cars on a website and you're using AI for imagery or for credit scores, this is hitting an EU car buyer in Dublin or in Paris. EU law applies. And that's quite critical, actually. If it hits an EU car buyer, you're in the net. And it looks like the industry is definitely not ready. They've been sold cheap AI tools over the past months, years. And they can now become a regulatory time bomb, actually.
My guest today is a veteran of the automotive sector. Are you happy with that, Martijn? With over 2 decades of experience in motor finance, marketing and consultancy. Martijn Versteegen is the CEO and co-founder of Imagine Studio, a Dutch tech powerhouse that has transformed automotive marketing with data-driven car imagery. His company proactively creates 3D models of every vehicle on the market, allowing retailers to visualize new cars before they even leave the OEM factory. But Martijn is also a leading voice on the ethical and legal implications of the EU AI Act, what we're here to talk all about. He is here to explain why the December deadline is a ticking time bomb for UK businesses and why your tech stack might be a liability you do not yet understand. Martijn, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Adrian.
Now, let's kick off. Martijn, many UK brokers and dealers believe the EU AI Act irrelevant post-Brexit. There's a feeling that we've got Brexit, that is nothing to do with us. Why is a dealership in London or a broker in Birmingham still legally bound by the rules if their listings are accessible to consumers in Paris or Berlin?
If you're utilizing AI tools in the UK for your listings, for your credit scores, and this is viewed by a car buyer somewhere in the EU, in Dublin, in Paris, in Amsterdam, EU law applies. Suddenly, Brexit is not get out of jail free card anymore.
So what is it specifically they should be wary of? What could they be doing wrong if they were using AI?
The thing is that in the car buying and using journey, there are different phases, of course. And different companies are facilitating car dealerships, leasing companies in every phase. Buying and supplying the car, for example, using AI to polish the photos, to remove backgrounds, to create videos from static photographs. They can use AI, for example, to support credit scores. And every time when AI is involved, it can impact their liability. For example, if you're using an image which is generated with AI or heavily modified with AI, you have to apply an AI-generated label on that image. Not only applying a label or a watermark, but also you should add metadata, which is machine readable, that it can automatically be identified as AI content. And if you don't, fines can apply.
So there's a couple of things there. What we're talking about now, is it the idea that you're potentially misleading a buyer or someone with those images that have been generated by AI? Is that the key issue? In an industry that moves as fast as this one, a weekly update isn't always enough. For the daily intelligence that franchise and independent dealers rely on, make sure you're heading over to Motor Trade News. From live market shifts to the latest trade pings, we keep you informed between episodes. You're listening to the Automotive Business Podcast.
Yeah, it's all about transparency. People need to know what they're looking at. People need to have trust in the product that they're buying, but also in the processes behind. For example, if a car dealership is utilizing AI in a tool for credit scoring, you cannot just reject the finance of a plumber's new van. Computer says no, because AI has rejected that request without any human intervention. You really need to know what's going on inside these models.
So when you're talking about AI being used in the credit scoring process, that is just letting that person or organization know that you've used artificial intelligence to rate them, basically, and their financial position.
Yeah. And you need to know how that's actually working. You cannot just say it's a vendor and I just don't know. Starting having these conversations about these improvements and tell me more about what is it specifically, what's the AI part of this solution. Most salespeople really are struggling with explaining how AI is actually impacting their solution. If they even can't tell you, how do you know? And how confident are you that everything is going the way it should go?
So is anyone in Europe at the moment already labeling their images, even though it's not legislated yet? Is that already happening?
In some tools, automatically you see already a small logo on an AI-generated image, for example, from Gemini or from another tooling, but much more than that's required. The question, of course, is if that will happen and what will be the impact on trust. Buying a car is quite a big-ticket item, and trust is everything. And if you see an image of a car with this AI label, I can imagine that people starting to doubt, hey, is this hiding a scratch or a damage, which I can't see anymore? Maybe they run away from your great offer. And it's not just generating a new image with AI, but also modifying images with AI. We see in retail a lot of companies using tools, modifying their images with AI, background removals, polishing, and making everything a little bit more flashy, even creating videos from static imagery. Yeah, that kind of modifications also require an AI label.
We spoke on the podcast to a guy called Jens. He's come over from the film industry. He's involved in making AI videos in order to sell cars more effectively. You're actually saying that could be a counterproductive thing. You think there would be a loss of trust if people understood that that image or that video was generated by AI?
Time will tell, of course. We have to learn how people will respond. And maybe over time, if everything is AI labeled, it will be something like the cookies you just have to accept. But maybe on the other hand, there are also actual photographs of cars or alternative ways to generate imagery that provide more trust. Images that are really pixel perfect using different techniques.
The EU AI Act is extensive in its documentation.
Yeah.
Broadly speaking, what does it stipulate?
In general, it's all about transparency. You have to be very transparent about what you're offering. For example, with imagery, you need to know, is it real? Is it generated with AI? But there are also specific other processes that are identified as very high-risk processes, like credit scores. It's also about knowledge, about training your staff, about the risks of AI. Make sure that they really challenge their vendors. Also make sure that there's possibilities to override specific decisions that have been made by AI.
Where does the risk sit? Because if you are a company selling cars using those images in the UK, there probably is a misconception that the risk might sit with a software vendor and not them. Is there liability on both parts, or is it just with the person selling the car?
The variety of tools that can include AI, the conversational AI for the chatbots or the imagery or risk assessments for insurance, etc. But if you're deploying these tools, this also comes with a deployer liability.
I think I'm right in saying that AI systems used for credit scoring are now classified as high risk. Now, I understood that there was an issue there, but if you're saying it's high risk, then surely that's totally counterproductive to their business model, isn't it? Why would they get involved?
It can also offer massive efficiency. Using AI, it can maybe assess risks better than traditional underwriters could. But I think underwriters have to be trained that they're also challenging the models. And if the models make mistakes, that there is a kind of a kill switch and they can override the specific decisions. It's doubtless that AI is providing massive opportunities for the industry, specifically when large data sets are involved. And in the automotive industry, as we all know, there's a lot of data involved. Think about, for example, data that is generated by telematics, which are installed in cars to monitor driver behavior. What if mistakes are made in the analysis? You've done nothing wrong. We've seen examples with damage inspection using AI in the rental industry. Cars were automatically inspected with cameras and damages could be detected with AI. So super efficient, much faster than the traditional process. And it turned out that people were charged for damages that weren't there. So that's a big risk, not just a financial risk, but also a reputational risk. Companies can not just trust on the tools. There should always be a human aspect that can make the proper checks and balances. When we talk about images generated with AI, there are really a variety of issues. There are some input problems and also output problems. AI can only generate an image which it knows how it looks like. So if I ask you to draw a brand new car that BMW will launch tomorrow, you probably will tell me, sorry, I don't know how it looks like. If the AI model hasn't been trained on that new car model, it cannot give a proper impression, but instead it will just generate an image. And nowadays these images are so good. That's also the problem. It's super convincing, but it's just completely the wrong car. Maybe it is the right car, but details are wrong. Another input problem is that these large language models have been trained on an insane amount of data that has been scraped from the internet. And these AI companies haven't asked for permission to use this content to train on, which means that these models are infringing copyrights. And there are a whole bunch of class actions, lawsuits against AI companies. So this is really an issue. Another risk, of course, is the hallucination. AI is a big guesser. And there are always synthetic hallucinations. If you spend thousands using AI to generate fancy images, and when everything's done, you're infringing copyrights, but also you don't own the copyright yourself. So your competitor might say, thank you, I might use that one. And they walk away with it.
If you're a dealership in the UK and you can generate all this content really quickly and easily using AI, it makes your product look super amazing. There are going to be people who are thinking, the EU's over there, we're over here, I'll just take the risk.
If you want to visualize a random car model in all variations, all angles, all paints, etc., we easily create around 50,000 images just for one single car. And if you want to do that with AI, it's not that cost efficient at all. Beside, of course, the topics that we just highlighted around copyrights and hallucinations, etc. It's not that easy. Creating one image with AI is fairly easy, but you can also do it with your cell phone. Creating an image, taking a photograph has always been very easy. The thing is, in the automotive industry, it's all about scale. If you want to visualize your offering from all the cars or new cars with all the different paints and all the different variations, you're talking about hundreds of millions of images. And creating a product at scale that's completely data-driven, that's a really different game.
If you are someone in Birmingham and you're using these images and people from Europe are ended up buying your car or whatever, what happens? You get a communication from Brussels. Have you any idea what that would look like?
If you're enjoying the Automotive Business Podcast, then why not check out our video reviews on business motoring, where we test drive everything from the venerable Range Rover right through to the latest Chinese SUVs, allowing you to make the very best informed decision for your next fleet purchase.
We still have to find out, of course, how the EU will hunt for infringements. But fines can be very impressive. It's up to 35 million euros or 7% of your annual revenue. So that's really, really steep.
It's 7% of global turnover, isn't it? So if you're a big player, that's a lot. So what's the best process for someone to prepare for this?
Yeah, there is a very good alternative as well. And we are, with Imagine Studio, we are an AI and cloud native company. And from day one, We have made very deliberate decisions on how to utilize AI and also how not to use AI. So there's AI everywhere in our company, specifically in the handling of massive data sets. But we've also decided that the generation of images, for the reason that we've just mentioned, that's not AI-generated images. So we are creating 3D models from every car model, which is, of course, a lot of work. And then it's deterministic rendering, pixel-perfect rendering. So for a 100% accurate result instead of a synthetic hallucination. By doing it in this way, we're also able to provide a 100% legal compliant product, copyright-free, to the industry. And that's typically something the industry really needs. AI is going very fast. Everything moves super fast, and regulations are usually lagging a little bit behind. But this is actually indeed confirming that we made the right decisions over time.
So have you been building up to this? Have you been preparing for this EU AI Act? Because it's been coming down the road for a while.
When we started the company 8-9 years ago, everything was actually already set up in such a way that this EU AI Act is quite a blessing for us. It is interesting to see that there's more going on with AI at this moment in the industry than only the EU AI Act. We also see that AI is really changing the way people are using the internet. And this is heavily impacting at the moment a lot of companies in the automotive industry.
So are you talking about the organic power of these companies?
Yeah, the business model of the internet has actually always been the same. Make a web page, generate content, keyword analysis, and making sure that you find the right words, creating unique content, and then selling ads, products, or services. But since October, November, a lot of things have changed, and companies see massive drops of organic traffic. We are in the era of 0 clicks. It's all in the AI overview. As a result, the organic traffic has been dropping sometimes 50%. And that's not something a lot of companies are talking about in public, because it's not not nice to show off on LinkedIn that you lost all your organic traffic. Actually, what we see happening is that a lot of companies, their website become almost invisible for AI search.
If ranking organically isn't going to work, advertising, say at the top of Google, whether that's not going to work because people are going straight to Gemini.
Yeah.
If you're not in the Gemini results, how do people find you?
Consider AI as a Swiss cheese with all these holes. It's always trying to fill the holes with unique, new content. It's hungry for unique content. And for example, the content that Imagine Studio creates is not stock content. It's visually unique. It's different for every client, but also technically it's different metadata. And AI is recognizing that's unique content compared to stock content, which is just duplicate.
We've done the big long questions, tackled the big thorny subjects. This is called the lightning round. It's where I ask some fairly short questions, and I hope and expect for some fairly short answers. And what I normally get in return are some amazingly long answers without a single full stop. So, okay, Martijn, 1. Will the EU AI Act effectively kill off the use of purely generative images in car retail?
For stock photos, no. For real listings, yes, absolutely.
Now, that's what I call succinct. Brilliant. So, is consumer trust more valuable than the cost savings of using cheaper AI tools?
Saving 10 or 100 euros or pounds on a photograph won't compensate for the loss of a 30k sale.
And lastly, you've got a billboard outside a car dealership. The billboard, in 5 words or less, what is the future of automotive AI?
I think transparency is the new margin, and trust will be the value driver, and compliance is key.
You are a consummate professional. I love you for the fact that you've done some homework, and I even had to count them, and they were exactly 5 or less. That's brilliant. Martijn, I speak to a lot of different people on the Automotive Business podcast. Some are car people, some have developed an interest in cars, and I think that some have actually started to like cars less ever since they worked in automotive. But are you a car guy?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay, great. I'm glad you said that. So if you were a car, what car would you be?
Oh, my goodness. Okay, let's say a Mini Cooper S.
I like it small, stylish, sporty.
Very loyal, sporty, fast, sometimes a little bit impatient, maybe. but also fun to drive.
Excellent. I cannot thank you enough for joining us on the Automotive Business Podcast. It's been genuinely fascinating to hear your opinions and your insight into what the EU AI Act is going to do and how people should approach it. So, Martijn, thank you so much.
Thank you, Adrian. It was a pleasure being your guest.